Hi students, I just wanted to hop on really quick and do today's quick check with you just to kind of go over it. If you did have any questions, remember the practice buddy, that is your practice. If you are needing help, you should be clicking on that blue button that says question help, and it's going to walk you through step by step. The quick check is like a quiz that shows me what you know after learning today's lesson and watching all those videos. So keep that in mind that this is something that you should be able to do by yourself at the end of today's lesson. Today's quick check, number one, it says angle EMG is equal to 120 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and write on my paper 120 degrees. And it says the measure of angle EMF is 60 degrees. What is the measure of the angle FMG? So you're going to do 120 degrees minus 60 degrees. And when you line these up, you know that 0 minus 0 is 0. You cannot do 2 minus 6. So your 2 becomes a 12 and your 1 becomes a 0. 12 minus 6 is 6 and 0, you don't worry about it. So your answer is 60 degrees. So on number one, you should have gotten D, 60 degrees. Number two, the measure of angle EFG is 120 degrees. The measure of angle EFM is 60 degrees. Which equation can you use to help you find the measure of angle MFG? So, if I can find my eraser. Maybe not. You are going to, it has several different equations. So on this one, you're just picking the equation. And X, the equation, what we just did. What is the equation that we just did was we did 120 degrees minus 60 degrees. So X, that number that we just solved, X equaled 120 minus 60 degrees. And it looks like they've written degrees out in word form. So your answer was D. On this one, you're simply just writing the equation that you just used to solve number one. Number three. Wow. Technology. There we go. Number three. Which pairs of non-overlapping angles share a ray to make a right angle? So you have to know what a ray is and a right angle, okay? A ray measures at 90 degrees. And it says does not overlap. So overlapping is when they're on top of each other, they're touching each other, when those lines are touching. So we need to find certain angles that are not going to be touching. So if we let's look at angle EGK. And then let's look at FGK. Okay? There are no lines intersecting through. There are no parallel lines. There are no overlapping angles on that one. So you should have picked A. Looking at that question, it says select all that apply. So we know right there there's going to be more than one answer. There's going to be at least two answers. And let's look at angle JGH. JGH. Okay, that's an acute angle. You can see that little tiny angle in the bottom. And then let's look at FGJ. FGJ. Okay, again, all of those rays, they are not overlapping. They are standing alone. There are no other lines intersecting through, and there are no other parallel lines. So for number three, you should have selected A and D. And number four kind of looks like a leaf. It says, Ken uses pattern blocks to make a design. He puts 5 pattern blocks together as shown in the diagram. The measure of angle OJK is 120 degrees. OJK. And you can see that that's an obtuse angle. And it is going to measure at 120 degrees. What is the measure of PJN? Okay? Enter your answer into that box. So if you're looking at that angle PJN, you can see that it looks kind of close to a right angle, but it's a little bit smaller. So the angle, the type of angle that's a little bit smaller than a right angle, remember, think cute, little, it's going to be acute, okay? So we know it's going to be less than 90 degrees. So let's think back to number 1. We had 120 degrees, just like in our equation 1. And then it tells you that we already know that we're going to do 120 minus 60. We've already solved this equation. We solved this in number 1 and number 2. So the answer is 60 degrees. If we wanted to check ourselves, we could check and see if we get a straight angle. If you remember this week, we know that a straight angle measures 180 degrees. So what could I do with 120 and 60 to check my answer and see if I get 180? What operation could I do to see if I get 180? Hopefully you're thinking addition. So let's check our answer. Let's say that we do 120 plus 60. Oh my goodness. I don't know about you, but I got 180 degrees. So is our answer right? Is 60 correct? It is. So good job. And last but not least today, we're going to look at number 5. It says, Carrie drew 2 acute. So right there, acute, we know they're going to be less than 90 degrees. Non-overlapping angles that share a ray and label them angle ADB and angle BDC. The 2 angles have the same whole measure. What is the least possible measure of angle ADC? What is the greatest possible measure of angle ADC? So remember, we're going to think about that 180 degree angle, okay? That 180 degree straight angle. Okay, so the least, if I took 180 degrees and I divided 180 into 2, 180 divided by 2. Try to work that out with me and see if you get the correct answer that I got. I got 90. Hopefully you got 90. That means that 2 right angles can also form one straight angle. But these are 2 acute non-overlapping angles. And it wants to know the least possible measure and the greatest possible measure. So the least possible measure would be 2 degrees. So if that's the least, if that is the smallest, is 2 degrees, and I want to get to 180 degrees, what could I do with 180 and 2 to figure out the greatest obtuse angle that I would get? Subtract. Okay, so let's work that out. Let's subtract 180 minus 2. Back it this way. So I can't do 0 minus 2, so the 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. I borrowed, so that becomes a 7. Bring down my 7, bring down my 1. The greatest possible obtuse angle in this equation would be 160 78 degrees. Okay? Hopefully that helps a little bit. If you're still having trouble, please let me know. But remember, make sure you're watching all of those videos and doing your practice buddy. On your practice buddy, you should be hitting that top blue button that says question help. And they're going to break down the question into several smaller and easier steps. Look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow. Bye.